Let's talk about a particular verb construction known as a phrasal verb. And I have two examples here, so slept in and watch out. In each case, we have a pretty typical verb like slept or watch, followed by this word in and out, which looks a little bit like an adverb or a preposition, and yet it's a bit different because it's so closely tied to the verb, right? So this particular word, we refer to this as a particle. And as a result, a different name for a phrasal verb is a verb particle construction. There are lots of these expressions in the English language, and when you want to diagram them, you can basically put the particle right on the line with the verb. So we have I slept in and I mixed up in our second example. Notice that in our first example here, till noon is a prepositional phrase, right? And a prepositional phrase can describe the verb. So that helps us then to make sense of what's going on, because in and till, we don't really have two prepositions in a row here. So it's better to interpret this as in being part of the phrasal verb and till being a separate preposition. And then in our second example here, I mixed up, right? This is followed by a direct object, your files. And so up isn't really being a preposition for something else. It's not up your files. That doesn't make much sense. So in other words, we just have to keep up with the verb rather than thinking it's doing something else. All right, now let's complicate this by just looking at two more examples. And the first one we'll diagram here is he went in. Now you might wonder, why did we not take in and stick it on the line itself? Is went in not perhaps a phrasal verb? Well, as with so many other cases, you have to use your judgment. And in this instance, I would probably say that went in is not quite enough of a common expression to say that in has to go on the line itself. I would probably interpret this more as an adverb indicating location. He went where? He went in. So I think placing in on the line here is okay. Well, on the diagonal line here. So again, you're going to have to make some of these decisions. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky to figure out if you're dealing with a phrasal verb. One final example here. This one reads, I looked in the cupboard. And I've basically just added this example to remind you that sometimes you're just dealing with a regular prepositional phrase, right? In the cupboard. There's no phrasal verb here. So as always, look at the context, figure out what's going on, and then you'll be able to know how to diagram it. That's it for phrasal verbs.